Let's talk about it.
Hello,
There we go.
sir. How
There we
ya?
are. I'm Murray. How are you?
You know, I'm fantastic. It's another day, well, it's spring. So, I mean, another day closer to summer. So I am happy. What about you?
I'm good. You know, I think the coldest we got was last night. It was 34 degrees.
Wow, it's pretty
Eh,
cold here today, but you know, all things considered,
Brenda,
it's been
Tara,
very, 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 it's been warm. So I'm
Stephanie.
happy.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Hey,
Good to see
everybody.
you ladies out.
Welcome.
How's it going? How are you?
Here,
How are you? How
Brenda.
are you?
Stephanie. How goes it? Hi, everybody from Things Network and Paralinks. Thank you for joining us. We're bringing everybody in.
That's a
So,
plus.
right?
That's a plus. Hey, Judy. How you doing? Joanne, how are you? Brenda, what's
Welcome.
up?
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
And Nicole, how you doing? Good to see you. So you had a good week? You enjoying the
I
weather?
did. I did. You know, it was a pretty quiet paranormal week. You know, I usually get quite a lot of calls about paranormal activity and stuff, but you know what? This week was really quiet.
Hey,
So,
Ellen.
you know, I don't know if it's a shift in the universe or if it's a shift in just paranormal. I don't know, but I'm not complaining. It was good. It was a quiet week. You know, sometimes it's
What?
good to be excited, but sometimes it's good to be quiet too.
No, absolutely. Fully understand. I'd rather have some weeks where it's just, the real life and not the paranormal life that gets thrown into the entire week. Sometimes
Exactly.
that's good.
Right?
Stephanie wants to Katie, your hair and makeup look extra fabulous, according to
Oh,
Stephanie.
thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. I'm not gonna
She
lie to you.
thinks that she looks like shite. So, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This is 8 a.m. hair and makeup. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even kidding you. That's what this
You
is.
know what? So is this.
So thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, what about my hair and makeup, Stephanie? I mean, geez, come on. You know, people work tirelessly to make this happen. Yeah.
Right?
So there's a lot of that going on. Yeah. So tonight, guys, we kind of we just want to kind of throw it to the wind and kind of bring up everything. We just kind of wanted to see what you guys might want to talk about, ask some open-ended questions about just about anything, and um, if you're gonna ask, it's briefs. Just
Yeah, no, we thought it would be a great idea. A lot of people have so many questions, and we try to keep the topic in terms of the subject matter that we're talking about, you know, for each episode. But we thought today would be a really great day to, you know, let you ask any questions you want. You know, anything that we can help you with, or any direction that you want to take in. If we have the answers, we'll give it to you. The bottom line is, it's a free for all. This is what we wanted to do.
oh, Richard is still there. Shoot, Katie is a doll. I used to always compliment your hair, Katie. Oh, my hair. Ooh, sorry. Richard is still there. Yeah, no, my hair is still there. Isn't that great? I love the fact that I still have hair. Thanks for that compliment. Um, nice.
Ugh.
All right. So Joanne says, all right, I'll bring it up. Joanne says, when you dream, are you visiting a previous life on a different veil?
It absolutely could be. So there's so many different theories between dreams. 9 times out of 10, in my experience, dreams are messages either from the other side, visitations, or they're messages from your higher level of consciousness. They're making you self-reflect, and they're making you kind of become self-aware of your own situation. So sometimes it's a subconscious thing where you're fighting, you're internally fighting yourself. But there's nothing saying that it can't be
Hey, Michael.
dimensional shift. So absolutely, yes, I think it could be. Hey, Michael. Yeah, it absolutely could be.
Yeah, good question, though.
Mhm.
It's funny because, Katie and I have talked a few times about previous lives and whatnot personally. And that's something I've always thought about delving into a little bit deeper myself. So yeah, that's kind of interesting you bring that up. Appreciate it. Has anyone got any kind of investigation set up for this weekend coming? Hey, Chris, how's it going? And you're late, and that means you're fired. And that's just kind of how it works. Somebody gets fired at every one of my investigations. I've even fired customers that have come on events. You just don't know. Everybody. I've even got myself fired. I was fired by a spirit the other day. We did an investigation. I literally was told I'm fired. Where the hell were we? The Staley Oaks plantation. Yeah. I got told I got fired. It happened at the Hamilton House too. Nice. Carol Hernandez, hi. Are you all on YouTube? Also, I don't see anyone on Facebook. Okay, YouTube. That's a Katie thing. Katie's handling YouTube for us.
Katie, trying.
You with me? Trying. It's a lot to work on. Carlotta, how are you? Chris, again, yeah, eating a crab. Well, nice. Jane, I must be fired as well because I'm late also. Yes, Jane, you are fired.
Hey, Brenda. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Ellen, listen, Padilla said, woohoo, Hamilton House coming up. Yes, Hamilton House, the event that we did for Hamilton House, is going to be the final event probably of 2022. They are doing a lot of renovations to both buildings, the Wright Hotel and the Hamilton House. And this one coming up next Saturday is the last event at either of those buildings. Good for you that you got in on it before they decided to hold it down. But those buildings are historical sites, so they've got to get their grant money. And if they don't get the buildings repaired, they can't get their grant money. So they don't make any money besides the events and on the grants. So we have to let them have their time. Wow. Where is it? So, Carol asked, where is everyone watching from?
So Carol, thank you so much for joining us. We simulcast, which means that we are on multiple networks at once. So we're live on different streams. Richard has his stream. We're on the Things Network as well as Paralinks, and we do have a YouTube link that's in the works. But so we're getting comments from everybody. Now, Richard has the master, and so therefore he can see most of the comments. I've got a couple screens going on, so you may see me looking down. I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to keep up with the comments as well. But don't hesitate to ask. You can check us out on each of our Facebook pages. We both post live on that as well. So if you're looking for the link, but that's where everybody is tonight.
Yeah, we've got folks scattered all over the globe. I mean, this show has picked up people. We've got some fans and some viewers from the UK. We have some in the Great Wide North. Then we actually even have some from Canada. Believe it or not. We've got a bunch of people
Germany,
spread out. Yeah.
Places. Yeah.
I think I'm the only one in Georgia currently. So there you go. Jessica, good to see you. New Hampshire. Oh, nice.
Right on.
Chris says he's from New Mexico. So I mean, we are pretty well spread out with the viewership. So we do appreciate everyone coming in. I know it's harsh when you're on different time schedules and different timelines. Makes it pretty tough. Jeremy, how's it going, dude? Good to see you. Denver, Colorado from Brenda. Oof. Amazing. That's still a little too cold for me. That's still a little way too cold for me.
Yeah. So guys, so for those of you just joining us, we had decided today's going to be a free-for-all. So any paranormal questions that you have, we don't have a set topic matter. However, anything paranormal goes. Any questions? If you have any questions you want to ask us or anything you're curious about in terms of investigations or anything like that, we thought we would leave it open.
Jeremy says it's Indiana and it's below freezing. Dang, New York for Courtney. Woof.
Wow.
I'm kind of happy being in the 60s. I'm good being in the 60s in Georgia. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cold here. It's pretty cold here. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what I've been doing. I've been buying some new equipment.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep, some new any connections tonight for me past spirits. Not yet, but if we do, we definitely will let you know. I haven't been able to pick up on anything yet, so I always get so wrapped up in getting this thing started, and my brain just goes, "Wait a minute, yeah."
So,
So
so I could pick on one. So I have in my mind, I always have. So those of you that don't know, I am a psychic medium. That is my day job. That's what I do. I do readings by day, paranormal investigation, and do the show with Richard by night. I always have entities around all the time, and I actually have an older woman. She's thin. I would say she's rather tall for her, for her stature. She's tall and thin, short hair, kind of cropped to the edge. She comes around. So she presented herself about 10 minutes before we started the episode, and I always kind of ask who I think it's for. And I don't normally read on camera like this, but you asked, and I'm going to tell you, this lady, she had something to do with kidney and liver function. There was problems with kidney and liver, so she comes through. So if that resonates for you, then it's for you.
there you go. Luke has a
Tabitha.
question. Richard, I have a question for you. Oh, okay. I'm interested in any activity at Brushy Mountain State Prison or Penitentiary. I've not been to Brushy. Honestly, the reason is I'm a cheap bastard. But yeah, that's just the way it rolls. They want a lot of money to go there, and I won't spend it. I heard the place is good. I heard the place is active, but yeah, I've got places down here that I can get to free or cheap, and I'm about free or cheap. I'm also about, frankly, too, going places that are less traveled, places that have been trampled all over. I want to go to places where people don't know that the place is active and go, oh, damn, that was active. That's what I like to do. Because, I mean, everything. Brushy's been on TV. Old South Pittsburgh's been on TV. Hales has been on TV. I was on one of the shows for Hales. It's just, you get to see these places get trampled on, and who doesn't know they're haunted, right? So to me, it's more of a road less traveled kind of thing, and that's great if that's where you'd like to go. I have heard it's a very active location. I just don't want to shell out the cash that they want. I don't see the necessity for it, so I don't. Like I said, I'm a cheap ass. That's really how it goes. But that's
You know what? If I can kind of interject for a second,
sure.
it doesn't have to be a known haunted location, guys. If you want to try to paranormal investigate and it's open to the public, or you're not trespassing or causing any illegal maneuvers to get there, then why not try? It does not have to be a well-beaten path in order to find paranormal. Some of the best paranormal locations myself and my team have discovered were not on purpose. It was something that it was like, whoa, we did not think it was there. And we ended up getting some of the best evidence. And some of the places that we suspected we'd get the best evidence, we barely got anything. Does that say it's not haunted? No. But you know what? Don't be afraid to try these places. It doesn't have to be what you think it is. It can be somewhere quiet. Now, Richard and I always recommend you don't try it in your own home, because that can open up a can of worms. But if it's something that you're interested in and you want to go, try some local places. You can try local cemeteries as long as you're not breaking rules and regulations or laws. You can try, there's many places that you can experiment with.
Well, we actually Lori and I went to a place called the Belafonte Cemetery. Belafonte used to be a city in Alabama that is now called Scottsboro. They have a public, it's public, but it's unfortunate. It's a cemetery, but there's been a lot of just some stupidity that's gone on in the cemetery. It's also overgrown somewhat. You got to be careful going in there, but they do legally actually have a stamped placard in front of the cemetery. You walk up these steps to the land where the cemetery is. We ran into another family just happened to be traipsing through, and it was actually very active. We recorded a lot of evidence up in there during the daytime when we were in there, and even with all the background noise from the cars and everything, we were able to capture some pretty decent audio. Had really good interactions with the Periscope, and just overall really good time for about a half an hour. We caught a lot of evidence, but it's another one of those places that really just haven't been trod very heavily. They haven't been run over, and I just prefer those because to me, I'd rather find out for the first time myself than to go and go, oh yeah, 7,200 people have been here and they say it's haunted. Really? For me, I'd prefer to have the road less traveled. But now Chris says, I'm looking at a new FLIR camera that attaches to your cell phone. Yeah, Jennifer Spears, one of our investigators, Jennifer has that for her iPhone. Then it works pretty well. The only thing I've thought several times about buying a thermal camera, But in the venues that I operate in, mostly, I'd be afraid of a lot of reflection and a lot of heat carryover or heat signature carryover. If you're outside, those are phenomenal, right? I mean, you're not going to get a heat reflection on a tree unless you're pretty close to it. So if you're outside and you have a hot figure run across the screen or walk across the screen, well, hey, that's definitely that's a good catch. But then you also have those times when you're in a house and you go across the window and it's got a heat reflection in the window of you. And it just requires a little more, for me, it requires a little more refining in the evidence go over than it does if you're just operating with a regular IR camera or full spectrum camera. So, but I heard they're really good. They're fun to look at. I looked at it with the one that I said Jennifer had on my team. It was pretty cool. I just don't have the patience to put one on my phone and try to work through the screens and what they look like. Yeah. Hey, Holly, how's it going? Tabitha, good to see you.
So I have a FLIR, okay, and this is what I use. So when doing investigations, it works. I have to say it works pretty well. The only thing I would be concerned with. So, ooh, hi, can you see me? The only thing I would be concerned with a cell phone is, does it need data during the investigation with this system? And the reason I ask that question is a lot of times cell phones can cause EMF fluxes and EMF discrepancies. So I would be a little hesitant going into that until I know what's going on. Usually when we're doing investigations, we'll put our phones in airplane mode or turn the data off so that we're not interjecting, so we're not getting that kind of cross contamination. That would be something I would be considered. We've tested this. There's not a lot of EMF spikes with this. So
right.
Although it does have a red dot sight, it doesn't affect it the same. But you get the same amount of reflection. You get the same amount as using one on your phone. It is what it is, right? You're going to be getting that heat signature reflection. So I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, the one that Jennifer used, there really wasn't a whole lot of interference with it. With EMF, it seems to be pretty well shielded. It just, to me, the screen's smaller, so that it's more pixelated. It becomes a little bit harder to be able to look at definition very well. Mm-hmm. So there are just some things involved. The cost is good. I mean, it costs a couple $100, but I would just I'd probably go double the $150, go to 3 and buy yourself a FLIR as independent and a standalone system for $300 or $400. Exactly. That's what I would do before I put one on my phone, because again, the screen is 2 to 2.5 inches wide by an inch and a quarter wide or deep, and that's just not really enough, I don't think. Yeah. I mean, you can see something go against a cold background, but it just gets a little hard to read defined data that comes up on the screen. Yeah. That much I did see as a challenge to it. Now, Linda said, when doing protection on an investigation, could the equipment be protected too much to the point that they don't work?
When doing protection on an investigation, could the equipment be protected too much to the point where they don't work? I think it comes down to the active intent, to be honest with you. Okay, yeah. So when doing protection, when yes, you go through your rituals and you go through the practices of using different things to cleanse, but it also comes down to you. Okay, and it's a fine balance. When you're asking questions and doing divination, obviously you want to have a pointed question, something that's pointed towards what you're trying to communicate with. Do I think that you can stop communication with protection? No. Do I think you could push entities away where they don't want to communicate? Yes. But I've never been in a scenario where it just doesn't work. Usually when it's too quiet, that's a bad thing. If you're not getting anything, if you're walking into an investigation and there's no EMF, there's no, you're not getting anything, that's not always a good thing. That's one of the reasons why we used to, when we were conducting investigations, we used to do pre-interviews. So we would go to the location, we would sit with the family, if it was a private residence, and we would conduct an interview before the investigation. We'd be asking our questions and go through the questionnaire. Problem was, as we're going through the investigation, this is when all the activities, the interview, this is when the all the activities happening. So we're sitting with family and things are going bing bang boom in the kitchen, and we jump up and we were unable to witness it. We actually had to stop doing the pre-interviews and conduct the interviews at the beginning of the investigation while our other team members were setting up equipment so we could catch something, because we found when we would go back it would be quiet. So it's almost like they know you're coming, right? I don't know if that answers your question, but I also find on an equipment level that the equipment chooses the person, to be honest with you. There are certain pieces of equipment. I have an Ovilus that doesn't like me. It absolutely loves Liz, one of my team members. It works the best for her. It has to do with her energy. I have no idea. Another investigator, April, she's the queen of audio. She can pick up things that nobody else can pick up. I don't understand it, but she's able to do that. So it's almost like either the equipment picks you or the entity picks the person holding the equipment.
Yeah.
But it does change.
It does, and I'll tell you, there's another case to that point as well, because I got Lori a set of dowsing rods, and I've never had great luck with dowsing rods. Mm-hmm. Oh God, she could make these things. She could have them doing backflips on these dowsing rods, and I'm like, whoa. I mean, it's like you said, the equipment picks the person quite oftentimes.
Yep.
With me, I'm like April. It's audio. Just give me audio. I'm good with the audio. I'm not the camera guy, so I don't do video a whole lot at all, or pictures. So I'm not that guy, but I would like to have somebody that could do that on my team. So I got one I'm working with on that. What's that? Yep. So yeah, so that's like I said. She's really great with the dowsing rods. They're not great for me, but they work. But again, just like Kitty said, the equipment picks the people, and that's really what it's about. And then Brenda just asked the question I put up: could some of the energy be created by the people wishing that there was something there? Here's the thing: people have an ability to manifest energy. Energy breeds energy, right? So if you go into it, like say you go in by yourself, and you get a camera, stationary camera, or a camera you're working with you, and something happens, you freak. That fear energy becomes fodder. That becomes fodder. Now you can say, oh, something's about to happen, something's going to happen, something's going to happen. And enough of that energy projection makes something happen. It might not be a legitimate paranormal thing, but something's going to happen. You have to remember that when you project enough energy, there are some people that can make cans move, squish cans, move pen, spoons. It just really depends on how strong your thought process, how convicted you are that something's going to happen. But and again, we always go back to intent, right? So under the ideal of an intent, your intent is you're going to have something happen. So you can manifest something to happen. You can manifest energy to go a certain direction if you wanted to, and it can happen. But it just depends on the intent. So yeah, people can create something there that isn't there by their own energy, the projection of their energy. So yeah, I'm a believer. Now, what do you think about that, Katie?
I agree 100%. I think that we can manifest and create things. And I think a lot of the public locations that have been really investigated have actually ended up with entities or energy that wasn't there to begin with. I think that it was either, manifested, or it came in with the crowds and kind of created a different energy field. So absolutely, yes, it can make differences. I gotta put a quick shout out to Stephen Woodward. So he's my boomhauer. There's a long story behind that, but he calls me his crazy Canadian friend, and he's my boomhauer. He'll always be my boomhauer. So how's it going, Stephen?
All right, so let's see here. Okay, Lyndon Judd asked, what is a periscope? A periscope is a device that's made by a company called Paranologies. They build the periscopes. They build several. They build a tribolometer, a tribolometer. They just have a bunch of different custom-made devices. The periscope is a static filtration device that actually will pick up static energy that spirits give off, entities give off. They sometimes will give that off more often than they will EMF, but it is different. I've been able to put a K2 meter on one side of a periscope and put a periscope up, and periscope will get nailed, or the K2 will get nailed, or sometimes both. It just depends on how much energy they have. But the periscope has got, I think, 6 or 7 different colored tubes that it can actually move. The energy can move itself across the board, so to speak, of the colors, and it'll present itself that way. We've had it do. I mean, you can test it. It's a really cool piece of equipment. You can test it yourself, but moving your hand in front of it, the static electricity you give off will make the lights flash. But to have what I've seen entities do, which is make it stay in red, go to the second red, go to yellow. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to be able to do that on a consistent note. Because again, I've done it with my hand. You can get the lights to flash, but you can't get them to stay. I've had entities, a lot of entities, make those lights stay and just slowly go down the grid like they're just kind of showing off. I call it showing out. They like to show out that they can do it. But that's what a periscope is. I think Jeremy from Paranologies.com, he sells all of that, triboelectric meters, everything. You can get them on there. I think most of his stuff's under $100. The problem with it is that in all frankness, he's had to go to China for parts, which means right now you're waiting. And I don't think he's had a good, new source come up for that. He might have, but go to Paranologies.com and check it out. If he does have them and they're available, I'd recommend anybody get them. They're a great device. So yes. But thank you for the question.
Jeremy had asked, Jeremy York said, do you think a change in temperature would affect paranormal activity? Do I think it could change the way that your equipment picks up the activity? Yeah. Potentially. Have I ever, so as a psychic medium walking into a location because it's cold, is the activity quieter? No. Again, it comes down to you. If your body's worried about keeping itself warm and you're worried about being cold, or if you're really hot and you're having a hard time with your body normalizing temperature, then your instrument in terms of your person could potentially not be able to download the information. But in my experience, I don't think temperature has a difference. Now, do entities like to utilize temperature change? Yes, they do. When they do partial manifestations or full manifestations, lots of times there's going to be a temperature change, whether it be hot or cold. In my experience working with my FLIR, when I have gone through to different locations, I have seen entities show up in white and black, which is not a temperature signature. Usually if you're seeing a temperature, a footprint and it's got heat source around it, it's not paranormal in my experience. It's something that's actually human created. So, if you're going to be using these types of things, temperature definitely can make a difference for these things. But does it stop it or make it more? In my experience, I've never noticed that.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think it's an equipment thing more than anything else. I think I think we've gotten equipment to a point where it's more sensitive than a human. But it's just that's just a big question. I would probably take a while to sit. I would love to be able to measure the difference. Get a person in one room, have them come out of the room, and they tell you what happened, how it felt, then go in with the equipment, leave the equipment alone with a camera and a recorder and see if you get something different. That would be different. That would be interesting. So Chris said, the question is, should your paranormal team be established as a nonprofit? Okay, we're getting on a little bit of a sensitive subject here. And I'm just going to say that because I am a gentleman who owns a company who does paranormal events. I am not a non-for-profit company. I am a for-profit company. Even though the majority of the money we take in goes to the venues, yes, I garner enough to be able to pay for marketing and for everything else that goes along with it. Could I go on as a 503c? Yep, sure could. Because nobody's making millions. But you got to try to cover your fuel to get there sometimes and things like that. I've actually lost money on events. And, it's the nature of the beast. So you can register yourself. It depends. If you're not going to do events, you know what I mean? If you're not going to do events and you're going to just, do investigations for people, I don't really see the issue there with going nonprofit. But if you're going to start charging people, then you're no longer nonprofit.
Yeah.
You're not, because you had nothing to show a loss and that makes you a for-profit business. If you had a loss, like if you were a municipality in some way, you could show every single time you took an income. If you charge somebody $300 for an investigation of their house, and you could show $300 worth of cause and effect of profit loss to match the income, well, now you're nonprofit. But I don't see anybody really trying to come up with $300 worth of loss. They're just charging somebody for an investigation. I don't charge people for investigations, but that's just a personal choice. I think that kind of steps on a couple of the really different lines, depending on what you plan on doing with the team. That's it.
I personally don't. My team and I do not charge. We don't call ourselves nonprofit, but I don't charge. I don't charge. The only thing that I do charge for is readings. I don't charge for cleansings. I don't charge when working with police. I don't charge when working with families of missing persons or working with psychic children. Anything like that, investigations. I try to make it as authentic as possible and try to, try to kind of give back. The whole purpose of us is trying to investigate. Now, to each his own. Whatever you choose you want to do, but that's kind of how I roll. That's what we do. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It really does the intent is in whatever your team is going to do. Well, however they're going to handle it, how you're going to manage it, that's entirely up to you. Ellen said, Skinwalker Ranch, Tesla coils, opening portals, USOs, UFOs, LOL, so many questions. I've started reading about Tesla. And he supposedly was talking to other realities and aliens through his work with electricity. It makes you wonder. Okay. I'm a big fan of Tesla coils. I actually just recently purchased a custom-made miniature portable Tesla coil to use on investigations. I can actually have it done to where it reacts to the touch of an entity. I can have it done where they can actually manipulate the entire screen, and it's that big. It's pretty cool. And I've been a big fan of Tesla coils. Even back when I was a kid, I remember seeing them in a store. I'm trying to think of the name of the store. Things Remembered. No, it wasn't Things Remembered. It was a store that sold some really weird crap. And they had these huge, big Tesla coil bowls, just big round balls, and you could play with them in your hand. You could feel the electricity on your hand, yada yada yada. But this is just a skinnier version thereof and smaller. And I'm going to try it for fun because it was so inexpensive to get that I just went ahead and got it. But I'm a big fan of Tesla coils. If you went down the whole line here, Skinwalker Ranch, I've only had one encounter with this Skinwalker. It wasn't pleasant. I felt very intimidated. That was the only time I think out of a few that I've actually knew I had to leave. It was not a very pleasant experience, and it was nowhere near Skinwalker Ranch. It was actually in Chattanooga, Tennessee, at a place called Audubon Acres, right down by the river. It was not fun. But again, opening portals. Yeah, we don't need to do that. Try not to do that. But USOs, I'm real big on the fact honestly, my belief is if you think that we're alone, I think we have way too many options to think for a half second, too much evidence to show that we're alone in the world. And my esteemed colleague and incredible assistant just handed me the Tesla coil.
How neat is that?
It is literally, if I had to put a handle on the screen, it's probably almost 3 inches in diameter. But as you can see, I can manipulate the coil any way I want. And it does have several different settings on it to where you can do it just by touch only.
That is so neat.
Cool. Pretty cool. We got a lot of new toys, but I think this, quite frankly, guys, reach out to me if you want to know where to get it from. It was $14. $14, and it's glass, guys. It's not plastic. Huh? Yeah. American, yeah. But it's glass. It's actually very hefty. for what it's going to give you. But for the price, it even has the bell clip on it. Takes one 9-volt battery, I believe. It's cool, but you don't have to drop again thousands upon thousands of dollars for equipment. I won't. I don't ever recommend it. I won't. Just to me, yeah, I'll go cheap or free, and that's the way that rolls. You know.
Now, Ellen asked a question about it. She said, "Is it putting EMF off?
Is it what?
Is it putting EMF off?
What
Like
the Tesla coil?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't have. Well, I got a KT meter, but it's in the case. I could turn a Tesla coil on, and you can see the EMF going off. Actually, let me put this stuff down, see if I can get a hold of my KT meter while you're talking, Katie.
Yeah. No, I think the Tesla coils are really great. I think that, you know, I watched people experiment with multiple Tesla coils actually, and the more that they have, depending on how they have them set up, it actually was pretty cool because they almost set up a grid pattern, and they were able to not necessarily trap the entity into that section, but kind of could feel where the entity was moving by how the Tesla coils were lighting up. It was a pretty cool scenario.
Okay.
I would experiment with them, but it would be something that I would want to leave for a while. It would be something I would want to kind of go back for a couple days or leave it set up with cameras and just see where there's high movement, you know, alleged movement from entities. Leave them there and see how, you know, if in fact they're moving along and lighting these things up. I think it'd be really neat.
So you can see that it is giving off EMF.
Mm-hmm.
And when you turn it all the way off, of course, nada.
Right.
So yeah, it is doing what it's supposed to do. But again, I'm good with equipment and getting equipment, guys. I'm just not real good about spending a ton of money on. Like I said, that little booger right there was cheap, but it works.
So there's a few people that they're wanting the link to that. So definitely you have to put the link up so people know where to buy it. The FLIR system. So this I did not buy at a paranormal store. I bought this at a local Canadian department store, nonetheless. So it's not something that you necessarily have to purchase paranormal wise. The FLIR system does have a website that you can research there. But guys, don't be afraid to look at something used. If you can find something used, reputable, something, you know, somebody's trash is another person's treasure. So as long as it's functioning properly and they maintained it, you know, don't be afraid. If you don't want to spend the money, maybe try and find something used.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, again, you know, those are cool pieces of equipment, but, you know, if I could find a used, I'd pick one up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not real big on dropping a ton of money. I mean, if you got it and you want to spend it, first of all, you can send it to me in a check. It's Richard. Anyway, just write me a check instead. Joanne asked a really pretty cool question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Tim said big bucks there. So Tim, this was 400 Canadian. So I'm going to say maybe 300 American, you know, give or take a little bit.
Yeah, you'll spend $300 to $400 on a good FLIR camera. Yeah, you're going to spend that much on them. And Joanne said, could I use a radio and sit in a quiet room on a non-station and get the same as a voice box? It's white noise. Of course you can. You know, I think what actually kills me is people get these, you know, these ITC devices, because that's what they are, and they get these spirit boxes, they get big antennas on them. No, I unscrewed my antenna. No, I don't want it to pick up radio. I don't want it to. I want the white noise. So yeah, you potentially could. Yes.
Yes. No. And what they use with these spirit boxes is a Faraday cage. And a Faraday cage basically shuts the radio frequency off so that you can't pick up radio stations. You want it so that all you're getting is that ambient white noise in between the stations. So, you know, the antennas and all that stuff, not necessarily good. Now, if you're in an urban setting where there's a lot of radio stations, that could be a little harder, because you have to remember those spirit boxes are sweeping through radio frequencies at a very fast rate. And that's how you're starting to pick up some of that energy, is that you know it's not a radio station because it's a millisecond that it sweeps through really quick. there's nothing to say that you can't pick a white noise and go through and hear that. I would encourage you, if you're going to go through that, definitely have a recorder with you. A lot of times it's very hard to understand what's being brought through until you record it, clean up the white noise, get rid of some of the background static, and then sometimes you even have to slow it down to make sense of it. So if you're going to be doing those things, you can use a television, you can use a radio, anything that produces. Sometimes I've watched people experiment with fans. I have actually watched people set up recorders and go by a white noise, like have a fan going where you can hear the white noise, or even water running, where they've experimented with just using tap water and letting it flow to a certain a degree and asking questions through that. And they can actually, the natural energy through the water source, they're able to get answers through that you wouldn't hear without the water. So, there's different ways that you can experiment. You don't necessarily have to buy equipment.
No. And Joanne just asked, and am I inviting evil in? Let me just kind of explain a little bit. When you're doing any kind of question and answer series, okay, you're basically doing, you're basically opening a portal of communication, right? Mm-hmm. So you're doing a seance is really what you're doing. You're doing a seance. You're calling the spirits. It's called a spirit call. You're calling the spirits to come answer your questions. When you do that, there is no guarantee of what you're calling in. There is no guarantee of what's going to come answer that call. So you should be careful. If you happen to know for an absolute surety that the entity or two you might be dealing with is an Uncle John or something like that, for sure, address Uncle John. Mm-hmm. Okay? But don't go asking open-ended questions and not expect, open-ended answers from whomever. So I can't say you're inviting evil in, but I can't say it isn't along for the ride. Got to be careful.
Yeah, and it's important before any investigation, when I do a psychic walkthrough.
Nadine, how's it going?
I make sure that I kind of say a little prayer of protection. I, say a prayer of protection over my investigators, over the location that we're doing. I set my perimeters and precedents of what I'm willing to accept. Going forward herein, you can say it in your mind, you can say it out loud. I'm not accepting any negative energy. I will not accept it. Anything that's evil, that is not productive, positive, of the light, of God, whatever you want to believe in. That's what I kind of set out there. And I say, like, I'm not going to answer.
All right, Brendan,
I won't accept that energy into my energy field. So you can do that as well. If you have somebody in mind that you wish to communicate with, put them in your mind's eye, ask them to come forward and name them.
And you're right, Courtney.
If you don't know, if you're trying to discover what or who is in your location or home, or where you're trying to investigate, that's when I would kind of put your prayer of protection up and say, I'm not willing to accept anything less than honorable. It's just not going to work for me. And when you do that, you're kind of putting those walls up that you're not necessarily blocking it out, but you're lowering the ability for them to come through and latch onto you. You can say, I do not allow anything to, I'll say psychically, physically, spiritually, on any realm, at any dimension, on any level, do I allow this to stay? And usually in an investigation, when we're done, I'll say to them, we're closing the session down. We're done now. Thank you. It's been fun. You're not welcome to come home with us. And there's been certain instances where we've had a pretty heavy investigation where we feel there's been negative or repressed energy, and we don't go home first. We've gone to a couple local haunts where we'll stop at a church parking lot and, we'll stand there for 15 minutes before we head home because we want to shake the rest of the stuff off. So don't be afraid to kind of set what rules that you have when you're going into these investigations or doing these divinations. Just remember that no matter what you do, no matter how many times you try to keep your house clean, the dirt comes in, right? You can sweep every day, but you're still going to get some of that dirt. And the same goes during an investigation. You're still going to get that metaphorical mud tracking home with you. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and what cleaning products or cleansing products you have in order to cleanse yourself and keep yourself clean.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about those FLIRs, for example, and they're saying they chew up battery pretty good, which I imagine they do. I imagine they chew up battery pretty strong.
This has a rechargeable battery.
Yeah.
I plugged this
Uh,
bad boy in, and I mean, this is a few years old, knock on wood. I say this now, but it's been really good. This will last all night. I've never worn the battery out in this. It's gone all night. So I'm pretty lucky.
yeah, no, absolutely. You're pretty lucky. Ellen said, would that be like a poltergeist where it manifests from a person's energy? You're talking about two absolutely different energy spots. Okay, a poltergeist, yes, is derived from the living. Okay, but that has a tendency to be a very, very progressive and at times aggressive energy. Whereas energy that people can manifest into things like investigations is a lot milder form. PK manifestations can be scary. If you've never experienced one, they can make you really think. There's a lot of power involved. There's a lot of energy that goes around and it gets involved in those. So no, they're not the same at all. It's such a mild mannered effect compared to a poltergeist. That is, and a poltergeist, honestly, I personally, in my experience, have had a lot of that happen with, hate to say it, adolescent females in the house.
Mm-hmm.
The hormones are, yeah, yeah. And then you got how people are today, and they all suck. So they're all either making fun of each other or they're talking bad about each other. And, girls get a point to you take that in, get a press, and drive it down. I'm speaking from experience. I got a couple of daughters myself that lived through that crap. You just have a tendency to suck it down, push. Eventually that energy has to come out. Eventually it has to go on. And that's when you start developing the PK manifestations. Poltergeist manifestations require a lot of that energy build over. Isn't anything that's going to happen overnight. It requires a lot of push. Just to kind of put that out there. It doesn't snap your fingers and you got a poltergeist. It does take a long while to be able to get to it.
And it's something that doesn't make sense. It's not something that, in my experience anyways, a poltergeist isn't like the front door opens, it walks over to the kitchen, it picks up a pair of scissors, walks over to the newspaper, cuts the newspaper article out, then goes and pulls a chair out, opens a fridge and grabs a beer. It's not normally, it doesn't make sense. Usually it's very uneven. It's intimidating. It's intense. As Richard had mentioned, a lot of times it's uneven energy. And, in my experience, it has been adolescent females and males, of pubescent age where they're already uneven. They're kind of, as Richard had mentioned, their hormones are out of whack. But I've also had experience with a pregnant female, and obviously pregnant female, but this new mom, she already had one child and was pregnant with her next child. And it was so uneven that it was, bottles of shampoo were being flipped off of the shower because of her uneven energy. And once we were able to get a hold on it, we were able to settle it down. But it just goes to show that a lot of times you don't know where it's coming from, and it's not a conscious thought. So the people who contact us, and I'm sure the same for you, Richard, they don't know why they're experiencing this. They don't understand it. I don't know what I brought home. I don't know why I have this all of a sudden. And once we get to the bottom line as to why they're experiencing this stuff, then it usually stops. It goes away.
Yeah. It's a really odd process, but when you think about it, because like I said, I've raised 2 teenage daughters. And they're both, one's empathic and the other one's a seer.
Okay.
Woo! I had some fun times in my house. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, all of that kind of adds up to it and becomes a little crazy. Linda says, how do you spell that manufacturer's name? It's PARA NOLOGIES, Paranologies.com. And that's how you spell Paranologies. I know it sounds weird, but that's how you spell it. Nikki says, hi, y'all beautiful peeps. I've missed your faces. Hi, Katie and Richard. Nikki, good to see you too. Steven says, yeah, be smarter than your equipment. Oh, yeah.
Yep, agreed.
Absolutely. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions.
So Jeremy had said, so basically if someone's sensitive to EMF, they probably shouldn't be exposed to the Tesla coil for very long. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
not sure what the output.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say everybody should be really careful with any EMF. High levels of EMF can cause, paranoia, physical illness. It can cause very similar symptoms, carbon monoxide poisoning, those types of things. So it's really important, to really pay attention to that stuff. Now, to me, a Tesla coil and an EM pump are very similar in the way that they put off electromagnetic fields. And you got to be careful with both, right? Once again, you're creating a fear cage. You're creating that where you're putting yourself in a position where there's high levels of EMF and you can start to get that paranoia. So it's really important that when you're doing this stuff that you're not, subjecting yourself for too long or too high levels. It's important to use a K2 meter, use an EMF detector while you're using these things. Okay, because that combined with your location, your other pieces of equipment, the phone you have on, those types of things, again, can cause some discrepancies. So it's important.
I've had a couple of people reach out to me regarding that Tesla coil piece that I brought up, Jeremy and Tim. I will try to get the information to you guys. The guy is on eBay. He's out of Phoenix, Alabama. He does make everything to order, so it does take about 4 or 5 days before it ships. But again, put a battery in this thing, it works like a champ. It's a great little piece for the expense. But I'll find the link and I'll send it to you guys in Messenger for both of y'all, just to kind of put that out there, because I'm real big on the whole. I don't know what that is, but I borrowed that. Sure looks cool. Kind of piece of equipment. That's what that is to me. So yeah, I'll send it out to you guys. I promise.
And guys, it's really important when you're researching new pieces of equipment and you're purchasing new pieces of equipment. Really, really take your time to get to know it, understand its baseline. Right. Don't take it to your first haunted look. If you want to experiment, I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. All I'm saying is if I was in your position, I would use it somewhere that I know it's going to be a benign baseline, or that's not necessarily haunted, that you know of, that you can find out what the baseline reading is. So you know what the normal is, because if you take it to an investigation, you're getting spikes. Is it paranormal or is it a discrepancy in EMF? Like what's happening? And it's good to know how the equipment reacts before you get yourself into a hot situation, right? Or you're getting false readings. And that's really kind of, unfortunately, when false readings happen, that can be disappointing, because you think that you're getting all of these hits, and really you're not.
No, it's, again, we've talked about it time and time again. The equipment's fun and all this stuff's cool, but trust your body before you trust anything. Believe us on that one. Now, Ellen brings up, I saw where they were running Tesla coil and then putting smoke in the room and showing where it was creating a portal. Not sure it was a portal or maybe just where the energy was bouncing off the walls. Let me be frank. No, I'll be Richard. So that's really great theatrics. And I'll leave it right there. That's great theatrics. That's a lot to go through. But it puts off one hell of a, oh, God, did you see that? Puts on a great effect. It really does. I've seen fog machines with laser grids work. That's great. I don't know what, other than the effect of the coil bouncing off the different areas in the coil. That just sounds like theatrics to me. I could be overanalyzing, and being a little something about, the way that went down. But I would tell you, I've seen the regular Tesla coils work. I knew a man who built devices of such items for television shows. He's a friend of mine. He's developed some pretty cool stuff. But a lot of that stuff's really theatrics. I want it to where I want to see it. I want to see an entity touch it. I want to see something manipulate the coil with a touch. I want to see the energy touch energy. That's what I want. And I don't care if it's on a 72-inch screen or if it's on a 3-inch disc. I want to see it. That's just my theory on the damn thing. But yeah, it is what it is for others.
So
Um,
Tim Shaw's in the house, everybody. He says, I'm still trying to figure out my
Tim,
cassette recorder. You know what, Tim? You're not alone, buddy. You're not alone. I still like some good old fashioned equipment too. I think the best part about this with the paranormal investigations are there no rules on what you can and cannot use, right? It's how you use the equipment and what works best for you. Some of the best recordings I've ever had was tape recordings, analog. I'm a music student. I went to school. I went to college for music, and but I'm dating myself. But I was back in the day with the good old analog reels. We had the big. I still have my analog reel, and there was some crazy stuff that we picked up on, and it was unintentional in the studio, but we still picked up on it. And sometimes those old analog recorders are the best things that you're ever going to get. So don't knock it. For this young generation coming in with all this high digital tech stuff, I would be the first one to put an app away. I would rather use a tape recorder than one of those downloaded apps to do
yeah.
investigations any day of the week.
No, I agree with that completely. I think, I do use digital recorders, but yeah, you have those old cassette tapes, and they're a metallic tape, and actually how you imprint the vibration of the voices, it removes pieces of metal off the tape. Right. So that's how it actually does it. So now you're talking about energy vibrations making sounds onto a cassette tape, which is a metallurgic tape. Yeah, you're actually going to wind up getting probably better quality EVPs than you would have on a digital recorder, because it's actually a physical recording. It's a physical stamp of the actual sound. Sorry, I'm an audio techie, and that's just how it goes. But those things I would love to see a cassette recorder come back. I would love to see a handheld cassette recorder come back. With long enough tapes to be able to do an entire investigation, man, that would be cool. We'll see. I don't know. I think it's a great idea. Now, Nikki says, Nikki's going down a rabbit hole. Nikki said, what piece of investigation equipment do you think is most overrated in your opinion? Go ahead, Katie.
I said it. Personally, I don't think the apps are, I would never ever discredit an app, but that would not be my first go-to. Would definitely not be my first go-to.
The app would not be your first go-to?
No, I am not, I'm not going to mention names, but there's a particular bear that you can use that I don't think, or a stuffed animal, we'll say. Stuffed animal, I don't like to label, but I don't think the stuffed animal, the EMF, would be something that would be my first purchase. That would not be my first purchase. Would I say I'd never use it? No, but I think some of them are overrated.
Okay, well, for me, it would be the GS2 device. Does everybody know what a GS2 device is? It is basically, essentially, it's a laser grid on steroids. Okay, the problem is for me is the steroids and the $200 jump in price off of a laser grid box. I haven't been able to justify it yet. Again, it's a matter of a pixelated graphic screen that'll show you pixelated something, maybe, I'm not sure, in front of the laser grid. So yeah, I can get a really good laser grid for about $50-$60. Real good laser grid. To go out and want to drop $250 to $300 on one because it has a little screen on the front, I don't know. I'd have somebody. I said what I said. Fight me over it. I'm just saying. I can't justify the money, and I'm a guy who has to justify the money, so I can't yet. So I'm not going to. Lori, how's it going? Lori Perry says hi. Jeremy York said FLIR batteries last a very long time. Nikki says, I'm always moody, especially in the morning. I need a darn holy water and a salt lick in the mornings. Wow.
Tell me how it really feels.
Now, Tabitha says, I think I attracted a poltergeist or something when I moved in with my grandparents. I was about 11 or 12, and in the immense emotional turmoil, my grandmother witnessed some of the activity.
A potential possibility, yes.
Yeah, everything is a possibility in paranormal. You can't say yes, can't say no. I mean, again, with the amount of information we truly know, especially about poltergeist activity, it'll fill a thimble. It's like shadow people, same thing. It'll fill a thimble. We don't really know a whole lot about them either. which is really strange and yet still very concerning to me because I like to know about stuff. That drives me
Well,
crazy.
now, just to touch base on poltergeist activity a little bit. As we know, energy cannot be destroyed; it can only be changed. And oftentimes, in a high intense energy place, location, manner of residence where you live or where you work, where you spend a lot of your time, energy has to be funneled out somehow. And 9 times out of 10, we are antennas. Okay, so we are energy antennas. And a lot of times, it's often been called pass the cancer, and that's semantics in terms of words. But if it's like the game of telephone, you start at one end and you pass the same thing, and by the end of the lineup, the person who was told last is totally different than what was told first. And that's kind of how it works with energy. So if you're having a bad day, you push that energy out and somebody else picks it up, and so on and so on and so on. Oftentimes in a poltergeist activity setting, when everybody's pushing out energy, it's not able to be absorbed by somebody else. So sometimes, when you're having a bad energy situation, you're absorbing that energy and you're manifesting it in a physical illness. When I do readings for people, I can pick up where they hold their energy or where they hold their stress the most. And 9 times out of 10, they end up having physical manifestations of the emotional or energy trauma. And it could be you're holding it your thyroid, you have thyroid issues, you have heart issues, you have lung issues, you have back issues. It depends on where your body is pushing the rest of that negative energy out. When everybody is fighting in the house, when everybody's on a downloaded kind of, or instead of uploading or out, what's happening is that's where the energy is kind of balling up, and it's causing that peak in poltergeist activity. So it's really about absorption, metabolizing the energy, where the energy is going. And at your time in age, when you were saying you're at the pubescent age, you're having a lot of trauma, you're having a lot of things going on, you moved into this house, you could have kind of tapped into that energy source of angry energy already in the house. You don't know what was there before, and you're building on that already established negative energy. And so, it doesn't mean you have to be there 5 years before the poltergeist activity happens. You can start to build onto that. And so that's what I suspect happened in your case.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the thing with poltergeist activity, as long as it constantly gets fed, it'll constantly be there, whether it gets fed from the person who originated it or not. That feeds off energy. It just literally will. Things like arguments and things like that put off a lot of negative thermal heat, and they will absorb it like crazy. It's an amazing process of how much energy can be absorbed by one entity. For example, one poltergeist can just absorb as much as give out a ton of energy. So yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Now, Chris said, speaking of EMF, I have a location that has dangerous levels of EMF, but who do you actually report it to? Well, if that building is an active, open building that is owned by someone and is actually working as a, place of business, and they need to report it to the utility company. If the place is vacant or abandoned, they're not going to care.
Yeah.
That's really the bottom line. They're not going to care. Unless there's somebody willing to complain about it that works here or whatever, or lives there or whatever, that they're not going to really give a damn. But it would be the power board is who would have to come out there and take care of it. So yeah.
And it's important when you're walking into those locations, make sure that you're taking breaks. If you're going in and there's high levels, don't be afraid to swap off with people. It can make you sick. It can seriously make you sick, and it's not something that you may notice at the time. You could get sick for a couple days after. Right. So it's really important. If you want to know, experiment high levels of EMF, walk under a hydro wire, walk under the transponder spots, or where they have the big transformers. You're going to feel that. You'll feel the buzz. You're going to feel the hair stand up on your arms. You're going to feel that feeling. And that's really what's happening. And again, it can cause a lot of hallucinations, paranoia, physical illness. Like, there's a lot that can happen. So really take it seriously, because high levels could make you ill.
No, it's true. Corlata says, "What's on the floor, Richard?" I don't know. The floor? I don't know. I looked down there a couple of times because I had stuff on the floor I was picking up and bringing up. So that probably is what you're talking about. Let's see here.
Jeremy had said for equipment, I'd like to try an LYDAR. LiDAR, I guess.
LiDAR is a different version of like a paranormal radar. They use it
Yeah.
on ghost hunters. TAPS uses it quite often. I think they also use it on Ghost Adventures. I think it's designed to pick up a density pulse, kind of like to me, it kind of resembles more like a fish finder. It sends out an echo, and that echo bounces off like radar. But to me, that's more of what it's akin to than anything else. Now, Ellen said, "LOL, if I build a Tesla coil, I can make a helmet of tinfoil." Ha ha ha! Just kidding. Yeah. And maybe time to think about that, Ellen. Let me see here. Tesla coil, can it affect a compass? Well, yeah, it's EMF. I mean, so EMF has a way of making things, the polarization of the globe has every effect on a compass, and that's, an energy effect as well. So anything energy-wise will screw with anything that's sensitive to energy. So yeah, I would believe so.
But it's kind of neat too, because compasses are really great for paranormal investigations. If you want to go back to the basics, having a compass and having them manipulate the compass, that's pretty cool too. Just make sure that you know your compass, you know how it works. Every compass works a little bit differently, but it may throw off your reading with the compass if it's too close, but I would encourage you to try one.
Okay.
Now, Linda Judd has said, for a residence, wouldn't you suggest calling in an electrician to check the EMF source? Absolutely, yes. Doing a sweep to go through, absolutely. It's really important too that when you're getting these high hits, document where it's happening. Document. You may notice that it's close to an electrical panel, a furnace, air conditioning, where the electrical stuff is. And you're naturally going to get those things. You're naturally going to get higher levels. If you go by a light switch, you're going to get a higher read. I mean, your cell phone will put off a high read. But it's important that, when you're laying there, if you're in the basement and you're getting a high level by your electrical panel, and you look straight up and most of the activities happening or the sightings happening in the bedroom right directly above it, is it paranoia, or is it an entity causing that EMF spike? Is it the entity trying to feed off of that high EMF coming through the electrical panel, or is it the electrical panel itself and the hallucinations? Who's to know? But it's really important to document this stuff so that you know where it's happening, and you can leave that with the family. And it's at that point they can contact an electrician or a professional that can come in and have another assessment.
Yep. Ellen said, if something is an app, how do you know if what is detected is real or just part of the programming trying to get you excited so you buy more? Okay. Can I go ahead and kick into this one real quick, Eddie? Is that all right with you?
How about it?
Awesome. There still is an app out there called Ghost Radar. If you look at the app when you download it, it even says on there, this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. So there are 3 apps that I use, okay, that I have deemed legit because I've caught legitimate evidence off of them that correlates with another piece of equipment, okay? For example, there is something, if you go to, I know it's available on the Android store, on the Android marketplace. It's called Free K2 Meter. It is done by some friends of mine that have a team that do investigating and whatnot in Spain. And they have developed this app, and I have used this app alongside of a K2 meter, and the readings are exact to one another. So it's a legitimate app. It does interact the same way a K2 meter does at the same time. I could bring a phone by them, both of them go off, or they don't go off. So the K2 meter does work. It's called Free K2 Meter, and it's done from a group in Spain. That's one. The second one is I download a digital audio recorder to my phone. I've got one of the new fangled phones, Samsung Galaxy S22, who has an incredible camera and an incredible audio package along with everything else, including being able to make calls. So I use that one. And then I also have a Spiritus app. The Spiritus app, I have had some really great luck in the right hotel. I've caught audio on there, clear as day, Class A, that comes out and says the right hotel. It talks about several of the I call them characters in the building by name on a Spiritus. So to me, that's legit. When I have, again, evidence that correlates with the app, I'm good. All other apps, nope, 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 and nope. That's really it. Spiritus, I think, is $9.95, one-time fee. You're done. And it's a lot of fun. It has a pretty good programming set on it. I think it has like 20 banks on it and informational banks on it to about run different white noise, and it has different levels of equalizer that you can use for reverb and things like that to work out really well. But again, I've had a ton of evidence caught on that actually tells me that it's legit. So those are the three: Spiritus, the free K2 meter, and then a digital recorder. Because I got to have me some audio. I don't care if I'm just going down the road and I decide to stop at a cemetery. I'm going to stop at a cemetery or whatever, and I'm going to do an EVP session. I'm going to capture something. I already did. We went to a place called Stately Oaks Manor 2 weeks ago, a week ago. I forget which one. Weeks blend nowadays. And yeah, I mean, I was just running the phone outside, just walking around the property, and Lori and I caught a multitude of EVPs on my phone recorder. So yeah, those things are good for that. And again, the free K2 meter is exactly that, free. And it works. I have caught evidence on it. I have caught reactions to it. So yeah, it does work. And then Spiritus works. So I use it. Other than that, like I said, I don't use anything else. I've tried many amps. I even had one designed after the Haunted Travelers, which is my team's name. And it worked until Android decided to change the rules on certain things, and then the updates weren't able to be done anymore. But it was an incredible app and extremely accurate. But that's it. But be careful buying apps. It's just just a scary place to go drop some money sometimes. So Chris said, I never seen EMF levels that high, 700 to over 1,000. That's deadly, actually. You get exposed to that much EMF that long a period of time. That's deadly. Okay, you're teasing me. Okay, Carlotta. Appreciate it. For residents, wouldn't you suggest calling us? We've got a lot of questions. I'm trying to go through them. Okay, are there any investigations coming up next month that people can attend? Honestly, for me, no. We only had the one event that's coming up next Saturday at the Hamilton House in Dalton, Georgia. That was sold out in 2 days. I don't have any more tickets available for that, and it's going to probably be the last event, unless I can find a venue for an event. It's going to probably be the last event for quite a while. It's unfortunate. The buildings have fallen into some disrepair. There's some mold issues they have to take care of at the Right Hotel. Because I know several of you that are on here tonight have been to the Right Hotel and have been to the Hamilton House, and and they thank you very much for your patronage and coming out and helping them keep the lights on, so to speak. But these buildings get government grants because they're deemed historical sites, so they have to maintain the buildings up to a certain level of standard, or they're not eligible for those grants. So they've had to shut those buildings down to be able to get the buildings to be able to be maintained. So that's why that's going to be the last one. Now, if you have a venue that is somewhere near Georgia that you want us to run an event at or whatever, let us know. We do really well with events. Just letting you know. Okay, Jeremy, reach out to me if you don't care offline on that, and we'll go over it with you. We appreciate it very much. Let's see here. Yeah, free K2 meter, Linda. That's right. Spiritus Sapphire is a small fee. WavePad, yeah, Chris. I use WavePad all the time for audio. It is the best to me. It's the best software for the price, especially that you can get into. Yeah, digital recorder for the phone. So Nikki says, yeah, my bestie actually caught a great Class A EVP on her phone in Trans-Allegheny a few years back. An incredible catch. Yeah, they are. You can do pretty well with those recorders. I mean, of course, your phone makes a difference, You're going to have a phone that's got a decent mic and a decent set of speakers, and you can do a lot of things with a phone. I was kind of surprised. But yeah, WavePad is available for the phone. It is a download. that you can get to be able to run EVPs through it. Again, I use one for the laptop, so I'm a little bit different. I'm a little next level on it. Little old level, maybe. You never know. But, it is what it is. But yeah, guys, if you guys have another venue that are living in the Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama area, let me know if you've got a venue you'd like for us to take a look at that you know of that needs some help, maybe some focus, because that's what we do it for. We do it to bring focus to the buildings that we look at. Like I said, we just got done doing Belafonte. I call it Belafonte. I may have Italian, so forgive me. But Belafonte Cemetery, which is now actually Scottsboro, Alabama, because we're within about an hour. I'd like to be within about an hour or two's range from that. So if you guys have a building, let us know. We're more than happy to try to help it out. Yeah, Jeremy, we'll try to bring you in on that and go from there. Yeah, the phones have a tendency to lock up. Usually when phones, Nikki brought us in, my bestie had the worst luck with her phone during investigation. Sometimes too, it would lock up and go nuts and go crazy. All right, yeah, what usually that means is not enough RAM, which is random access memory. And if the phone doesn't have enough random access memory or random operating memory or ROM, it'll screw up. Audio and video both require a lot of room to run, and you have to have a lot newer phone to be able to have it operate well. But the digital recorders that you can download, that I've downloaded for free, the one I downloaded to my phone, again, mine's one of the newer phones, so that helps. But it didn't require a lot of space on my phone. But the closer you get to being at the end of your rope, so to speak, the closer you get to the end of your rope, actually is just one of those things that just slows your phone down, and it'll lock it up, it'll screw it up. What do you think, Katie?
Agreed. Absolutely.
I
agreed.
talked too much tonight.
No, not at all. I'm enjoying hearing you. For me, I use my phone. I have digital recorders. I have, Tascam. I have a couple cheaper recorders that I use. April has an older Sony that is like, it's amazing. That's all I can tell you. We've been able to pick up a lot of great stuff with it. So it just depends on your situation. My phone that I use now, I use a couple different phones during investigations. Some of them I use for pictures, some of them I use for audio, but some of them have built-in audio recorders already, and I've experimented with those too. So it just goes to show, you don't have to spend the money necessarily to be able to use these things, but some work better than others, and it just depends on the situation too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm trying to figure out how we do. Jeremy wants to be brought in before we go away tonight, and I'm trying to figure out how to bring him in. But go ahead and keep on rolling there, Kitty. I want to try to see if I can get him an invite or something.
Yeah. We'll have it'll be after the show too, right? As far as apps, guys, really, really, really research. Do your research on the apps. Don't necessarily jump to conclusions that, if you're going to be spending the money for these things, go ahead and ask people who have used the apps before, as Richard has. I'm not a huge app fan. I've experimented with a couple other ones, but I would rather, if I had to choose to spend the money, I would rather spend the money on a piece of equipment. Okay. That's just kind of how I roll. I like to use it that way. If you're in tight spaces, there's a few little things that you can take with you. Again, there's Richard's gone, so it's just me. There's a couple things that you can use. I would suggest, your phone. It's got a camera. It's got, audio recorder. It's got a bunch of stuff. So it's one thing that you can use that you don't have to carry a bunch of equipment with you. A compass. A compass is small. It's mighty. Again, you can be using that in your to-go bag if you're wanting to do small investigations. A flashlight. You can use a pad and paper. So a pad and paper, you can ask to do automatic writing, or you can draw an image on the paper and ask an entity to, move the pencil once you draw around the pencil. Those are little things that you can use rather than spending a lot of money. Okay. Some people use a flashlight trick. I personally would not say that that's a paranormal event. If you could get them to turn it on by themselves, then I'd say yes. I had an entity one time take batteries out of a flashlight on its own, and that was pretty cool. But in terms of there's kind of there's fights back and forth with this because the filament light heats up and causes conductor change, which causes the light to turn on and then it can turn off again. So that wouldn't be another first choice in terms of equipment that I would use. But go to your local department store. There's a lot of things that you can use rather than going and spending hundreds of dollars at a paranormal equipment store. I'm not saying don't do it. I've invested thousands of dollars in paranormal equipment, but not everything, including this, was purchased at a paranormal store.
Right.
I have a UV flashlight, so it's a UV flashlight. I use this. We use this for a few things, trying to pick up energy. Did not purchase this at a paranormal store. If I want to, for my IR cameras, if I want to add a little bit more distance to my night vision, I'll add this to it, and for the full spectrum, I'll be able to get those anomalies and get capture that on camera. But you don't have to go ahead and purchase the expensive equipment to get the job done.
Now, Linda said, I wonder if a cell phone that has no carrier would emit less or no EMF using cell phone apps, even though it's not a phone. The problem with it is a lot of these apps require data. Require data usage, so they've got to be operating phones to be able to use the data. You have to have a data plan on the phone for it to be able to operate. So yeah, that kind of negates the entire idea of having one that has no carrier. Now, I know of a guy, again, Paranologies, he used some phones just for their camera and their hard drive. We had a phone that he had a really great camera on. I think it was a Motorola, I think. And, it had a 64 gig memory. He wiped everything out of the OS except for the camera software. Attached pulled the filter out of the camera, and now he's got an IR camera that's a phone. I mean, it's a lot of work to get to. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a lot of work to get to. I don't know if that'd be something I would want to do myself. But do you know a good program? Nadine says, do you know a good program to review and edit EVPs after you record them to clear them up and take them? I use WavePad. You heard that here on the show tonight. I use WavePad. To me, I know it. It's user friendly. It's just the best. To me, it's the best for the money that you're going to find. Yeah, you can go out and drop $300, $400, $500, $600 on a great audio program. The difference is so minimal. It's so I don't know. It's not worth the money. You can get a really good recent version of WavePad for about $40, and you're done. Download it and go. Get all the free updates you want as it gets updated on its own. Have at it. But that's what I would use is WavePad.
Yeah. So, if you're looking free, if you don't want to spend the money,
sometimes Ellen, yes.
Audacity's, I mean, it's not amazing, but it works. Audacity works too. Once you get to know the program.
I used Audacity. The problem, honestly, that I ran into, to be absolutely transparent, is that I lost a lot of quality because all it would do is give it to me in MP3.
Yeah.
If I use WAV format's a lot higher compressed file.
Right.
And as you know, you get a lot better quality audio out of it. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't use Audacity. Yeah. But a lot of people do because it's free.
Yep.
So that makes sense. But I'm an audio snob for EVPs. So that's just that's an honest answer. I'm an audio snob. So kind of crazy, but yeah. WavePad Pro is the greatest. Yeah, I mean it is. When you get WavePad Pro, you get all the different stuff. You get studio software. You get everything, Chris. You're right there. You're right there. Man, we're already winding down. We're at 6.5 minutes left.
Crazy.
6.5 minutes left. That's nuts. I mean, that's beyond crazy. But I got to figure out when we're done here how to bring Jeremy in when we're done. But I'm going to try to do that without killing it. But yeah. So hopefully tonight, guys, you've enjoyed this show. Yeah, WavePad Pro. Tonight, you guys, we hope that you've enjoyed the show. To us, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed all the different questions, different arenas the questions have gone into. I kind of like the free-for-all format. I think it worked. What do you think, Kitty?
Absolutely, I agree. I'm glad you guys had some really great questions. it makes you sit and think for a minute, and keeps on edge.
We could just do a sign off, and we, the audience, will go away. Yeah, that kind of is how it works. For us anyway, we sign off and then we stop
until next
broadcasting.
Sunday. We
Yeah,
look
there you
forward to
go.
it, right?
That's right.
So
Yeah, we don't ever want them to
Carlotta,
go away.
I should mention Carlotta is a local lady that I ended up going into to do a group session a few years back, and they had a haunting, and this gentleman's spirit had been kind of bothering the family a little bit, but nothing. It was very benign. Nonetheless, I called him out, and he decided to start kicking my chair. And so, in the presence of, I don't know, 8 to 10 people, I'm sitting in this chair trying to do this group session, and my chair keeps getting kicked, and everybody's watching as my chair is getting banged and shifted to the point where the back feet were kind of coming off. And this was a great big chair. It wasn't something tiny. So Carlotta is now saying that she, when she moved out of the house into a different location, the gentleman followed her, and she just mentioned that, just had my chair kicked, and it told me to leave. So he's pretty adamant. He's somebody who likes to think he's a bully, but he really isn't. But he likes to pretend. So I feel your pain. It's time to cleanse, Carlotta. I would cleanse your house again.
Yeah, that can be a definite sign it's time to close the doors on any more activity coming around.
Yep.
And it depends. If your house is that active, I recommend cleansing it minimally every 6 months anyway. Just as a matter of course, just whip through it, cleanse it, and move on.
Thanks, Nikki.
It just really depends on how it all works out. But I would definitely tell you, if you're having that much activity, yeah, you definitely need a cleanse. It's time. Definitely think it's time. But yeah, well, guys, yeah, we've had a couple of people already comment on the fact they like this type of format, which is good. Ellen said, last question, what does your t-shirt say, Richard? My t-shirt says, I may be wrong, but I doubt it. That's what my t-shirt says. No kidding. I may be wrong, but I doubt it. Yeah, if anyone knows me well enough, they know that that's probably very true. Yeah, it's just the way it goes. But no, guys, we really appreciated it very much.
If you know of it, guys, if you have a subject matter that you want to hear about, if if there's something that you want to hear, a specific topic, let us know. Send us a DM if there's something that you want to, discuss, or you have a specific question on. We have no problem trying to get it in there. This is why we do what we do. We want to be able to offer any advice, or if we don't know the answers, we'll find it for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we try to work with each other with our built up level of experience between the two of us and figure things out. Well, we don't know everything. If we did, we would be doing a podcast. Yeah. But yeah, Jeremy said, Richard, if you need assistance, let me know. Yeah, dude, honestly, I don't know how to bring you in after we go off air. So other than, because I'm doing this on my phone, my wonderful new phone. But I will try my best to try to bring you in one way or the other. So that's going to actually put it in there for us, guys.
Nikki says, I will admit I had an interesting dream about you two the other day. Nothing crazy, just interesting. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about this dream.
Am I old enough to hear about this dream? I don't know. Well, guys, we're coming to the end of it right here. We do appreciate you guys very, very much. Hey, Chantal, how are you? It's great to have you guys out with us. And another great night, great conversations for all. We appreciate it. But guys, hang on tight. We will catch up with you another time, and we're going to really want you guys to be good to each other. And we do hope to see you back next time. And until then, take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.